Hello, dear friends. As we are witnessing a very heavy rainfall in this rainy season, in this monsoon season, well, we also have witnessed the flooded streets. Whenever it rains, many cities and streets of Indian towns get flooded with the flood water. Well, what are responsible factors behind this phenomena? Well, certainly we cannot blame the bad town planning alone. So, what are the other factors? One more factor which is very much responsible for this situation is inefficient floodwater management. Well, what is the solution to this? Well, if we talk about the solution, we will have to trace the solutions back to the 11th and 13th century AD. We have to learn our lessons from the Chola rulers. Well, what did the Cholas do? Considering today's dire situation when the water gets flooded or water gets locked in the streets, we can take inspiration from the Chola Water Management System. The Chola Water Management System was made of four components. The first component was the tanks developed along with the Noyal River. The second was the anicuts. The third was the temple tanks, and the fourth were the canals. Well, let's talk about the tanks developed along the river. You must be aware of the Noyal River. Noyal River is a tributary of River Kaveri, and it originates from a place called Velingiri. From Velingiri, it travels through the districts of Coimbatore, Tirupur, Erode, and Karur, and ultimately joins Kaveri at a place called Noyal. That's why it is called Noyal River as well. Well, Cholas developed 32 tanks along with Noyal River. The mechanism of the tank was such that whenever the river was flooded, the flood water was collected in these 32 tanks, and such was the mechanism that the surplus water was drained back into the river. So not only these tanks controlled the floods, they also maintained the flow of the river. And later on, the water of these 32 tanks used to irrigate an area approximately of 9,344 acres. That was a big achievement, and more wondrous thing regarding these tanks is that they are still being used. To name some of the important tanks, we can say that there are Coimbatore Big Tank, Sulur Big Tank, Perur Big Tank, Valankulan. Some of these 32 tanks have also been lent to the Coimbatore Corporation, like Kurichi, Krishnapathy, and Sanganallur. So Kurichi, Sanganallur, and Krishnapathy are the tanks which have been lent to the Coimbatore Corporation, and Coimbatore Corporation is using the waters of these tanks for various purposes. Now let's talk about the anicuts. Cholas also developed 23 anicuts. Kalanai Dam is one of those surviving anicuts. These anicuts collectively used to irrigate an area of 36,386 acres. The number remains more or less the same in today's world as well. Kalanai Dam is the most famous of them, which is still working, and it is certainly very, very beautiful to behold. Now let's talk about the canals. Now, Cholas developed 14 canals which drove the water further inland to the hinterlands for agricultural purposes. Uyyan-Kundan Canal is one of the famous canals for this purpose. And at last, there were temple tanks. Nearby the temple, for the use of temple primarily and for other uses as well, the Cholas built temple tanks. These temple tanks were used for water storage, not only for the purposes of the temple, but for the uses of the common folk as well. So this was the way how the Cholas maintained and managed the flood waters. So we have to ask a question, are we being able to do so? Although there are river interlinking programs, so interlinking projects concerning the rivers are also in the primary stage. The famous Kane-Betwa linkage project is there, but it still poses many environmental risks. Okay, many people are going to lose their land, and because this link passes through the Panna Tiger Reserve, it may also threaten the tiger population, and not only the tiger population, many kind of flora and fauna found over there. So amid these speculations of the development of Kane-Betwa link, there are still questions needed to be answered, that when and how the government of India will come up with a plan to manage the floods. Thanks for staying in the video. Good luck.